It's Hard to Believe, the podcast that brings you absolutely true but very hard to believe stories. I'm your host, G Wiz. Now let's get into it. Jacklyn H. Lucas, the indestructible deserter hero. Despite being born on Valentine's Day, Jacklyn H. Lucas was a fighter, not a lover. He was a 13-year-old cadet in military school when Japan attacked the U.S. fleet docked in Pearl Harbor. Without regard to his age, the young man felt extremely compelled to join the war effort. The only problem was you had to be 17 to enlist in the Marines. Not one to take no for an answer, a quick bribe to an out-of-town notary public solved the problem. The now apparently 17-year-old, on paper anyway, went AWOL from Edwards Military Institute and enlisted in the Marine Corps by forging his mother's signature. The 5'8", 200-pound 13-year-old soon arrived at the Marines boot camp on Parris Island. He successfully completed the Marines basic training, and at the age of 14, the new Marine, despite being a qualified sharpshooter, was assigned manual labor work at various posts throughout the U.S. As time passed, even though he had now been trained as a heavy machine gun crewman, he was still stateside as the war raged on in Europe and the Pacific. This is not what Jacklyn, now better known as Jack, had signed up for. He wanted to see real action at the front lines. So once again, he went AWOL. This time he showed up unexpectedly in Pearl Harbor, where he convinced a commander there had been a clerical error. He joined the newly formed V Amphibious Corps and was promoted to private first class at the age of 15. He was assigned to be a truck driver. While in Honolulu, he often disobeyed orders and regulations. He was arrested for starting a drunken bar fight. He was disciplined for going AWOL to meet girls in town, and confronted by military police for walking through the barracks carrying a case of beer. He was arrested for punching the MP when they tried to take the beer away from him. 1 year later, now 16 years old and still not satisfied due to the lack of actual combat, Jack Lucas went AWOL yet again. This time he stowed away on the USS Dwell on its way to Iwo Jima. Private First Class Lucas was discovered on board, and as punishment, his rank was reduced to private. While at sea, he would turn 17, just 5 days before the invasion of Iwo Jima. Military journalist Ben Thompson wrote, "Of the 40,000 Marines who hit the beach at Iwo Jima, 17-year-old Private Jack Lucas was one of the only infantrymen who assaulted the beachhead without a weapon. Nevertheless, Jack grabbed a gun off of a fallen compatriot and charged into battle. Ignoring machine gun fire, artillery, explosions, and bullets whizzing by, he managed to reach a tree line and joined a 3-man team in a foxhole that was working its way through the jungle. The men were ambushed by Japanese soldiers who had tunneled to a position behind them. When Private Jack Lucas fired his first shot, he killed an enemy soldier a mere few feet away with a headshot. But the second shot from his reclaimed rifle jammed, and the private found himself defenseless in the middle of an onslaught and face to face with the enemy. If you're wondering how things can get worse, then listen to this. A live hand grenade landed at the boy's feet. To save the life of the other Allied fighters, Private Jack Lucas grabbed the grenade, put it under his body, and shouted for the others to take cover. In the 5 seconds before that grenade could explode, a second grenade landed within reach. Without hesitating, Private Lucas grabbed it and was now laying on top of 2 live grenades. The shrapnel from a grenade will normally kill or seriously wound anyone within 40 yards. Thanks to the heroic action, the full brunt of the grenades went directly into young Jack's body and spared the lives of the other soldiers. Now inspired by his selfless act of bravery, they fearlessly fought the Japanese back from their position. As they went to remove the fallen hero's dog tags, they were shocked to discover that not only was he still alive, he was also conscious. He had massive injuries to his right arm and wrist, right leg and thigh and chest. After 21 surgeries to remove 200 pieces of shrapnel from his shredded body, Private Jacklyn H. Lucas miraculously survived. 200 pieces of shrapnel would remain in his body for the rest of his life. Going through metal detectors would always result in, "Please step aside." His record of desertions was cleared, and at 17 years old, Jack Lucas was the youngest Marine to ever receive the Medal of Honor, which Harry S. Truman pinned on the brave lad himself. After the war, Jack returned home and resumed the 9th grade. He finished college, got married, got divorced, and then got married again. The second marriage fell apart in a very bad way. In 1977, Lucas was notified that his wife had paid a hitman to kill him. Jack fought off the attack and survived the divorce. It's hard to believe, but Jack Lucas actually appeared in court to ask for leniency on behalf of his ex-wife. In 1961, to get over his fear of heights, at the actual age of 40, Jack Lucas joined the Army to become a paratrooper. On his very first training jump, his parachute failed to open. His emergency chute also failed to open. It's reported that as he was plummeting helplessly toward the earth at terminal velocity, Jack Lucas did a commando roll. It's hard to believe, but this story isn't over. Not only did he survive the fall, he got up and walked away unharmed. 2 weeks later, while continuing his training, his parachute did open, and 4 years later he completed the tour as a now promoted Captain Jack Lucas. He eventually remarried and fathered 5 children. Captain Lucas would later lose his military benefits due to back taxes. He became homeless after his mobile home burnt to the ground in 1985. On June 5, 2008, at 80 years old, the indestructible Jacklyn H. Lucas finally succumbed to leukemia. In addition to the Medal of Honor, Captain Lucas was awarded the Purple Heart, Presidential Unit Citation, Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal with 1 Bronze Star, American Campaign Medal, and the World War II Victory Medal. On October 7, 2023, the USS Jack H. Lucas, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, was launched in Tampa, Florida to commemorate the extraordinary life of this true American hero and all-around badass. It's hard to believe, but his original Medal of Honor and citation is still sealed in the hull of the USS Iwo Jima. You can find links and more information about this topic and our complete library at our website, hardtobelieve.blog. Thank you for listening. This has been Hard to Believe. I'm your host, G Wiz, asking you to please like and subscribe for exclusive content.